let's get started on this 2000 Ford F-350. We're going to be doing a quick brake job on the rear of this vehicle. It is the dually, 2 tires in the back on each side. Right now you can see setting up for safety with the jack stand. We'll be moving shortly to the removal of the tire. All right, so we're moving on to removing the tire. As you can see, I have my Milwaukee with a socket size 21. Removing all the lug nuts. I believe it's 8 or so. I believe. Once all the lug nuts are out, you just have to take the tires out. Both of them. It's a good idea to have an extension handy because they are deep. So if you're just using the socket, you might not be able to have the reach to get all of them out. Some of them, but not all of them. At this point, first tire is out. This is the second tire. This one, depending where you live, will give you a little bit of a hassle to take out because of all the corrosion. But after a little wiggle here and there, I didn't use any, but you could use WD-40. It will come out. All right, so here we go. We got the 2 tires off. The next step is the brake caliper. So the first thing we got to do is use the C-clamp to compress the brake caliper. All right, so now that the caliper is compressed comes the 2 brake caliper bolts. They are a size 14. I use a 3/8 ratchet to get these removed. Sometimes they're a little tight. They shouldn't be too bad to get off. I had some trouble locating my ratchet, as you guys can see. It's one of those days, but I found it. So here I am taking off the 2 brake caliper bolts. I will be giving the torque of these on the reinstallation. At this point, I switch from the regular ratchet to a power ratchet just to speed up things a little bit. It doesn't really matter. If you have one, you could use it. If you don't, it'll eventually come out, the bolts. Now you will see me using the J-hook to hook up the caliper and move it out of the way somewhere. You can hook it anywhere that's safe, where it's not in your way. So from this point forward, you will see me getting the old brake pads out, getting the new ones, comparing everything, making sure we do have the right part. It is always a good idea to compare your old with your new part to make sure they are identical. What I just removed there is the hardware that should come with your new set of brake pads. It's good to use a wire brush or something similar to clean out the corrosion that sits there. We will be greasing this later on in the video. It's also good before greasing or installing the new hardware to use a little bit of brake parts cleaner on the caliper itself, on the bracket, clean all that junk that sits in there, Make sure everything is nice and clean for the new installation. Now I'm starting to grease the bracket, adding just a little bit where the brake pad edges would sit. So this helps with squeaking, protection long term, and it also helps the new brake pad to settle in when you place it into place. I like to use a little bit of brake cleaner into the caliper itself, remove anything that may be of obstacle, and potentially help the life of the caliper itself. I'm currently working on greasing the caliper because, like I said before, proper care will extend the life of that caliper from such things as freezing, just premature damage, etc. I'm also cleaning the bolts for the caliper using that wire brush again, and I will be greasing these thoroughly before reinstalling. There are two bolts that you need to remove clean. Sometimes use a wire brush to remove rust and grease and then reinstall. Alrighty, now we're ready to get the new brake pads in. Everything is greased up. We're going to install the hardware first. Here's a picture of the brake parts lubricant that I like to use. I just add a little bit to the hardware before installing. It's very good. It's effective. I like it. I highly recommend. Also, I've noticed that when I use the lubricant, it falls right into place. When you don't use it, they struggle a little bit to sit down and settle. Here's the new pad, the first one. I like to put a little bit on the edges of the pad, make sure everything's okay. I think I was explaining something to the owner of the vehicle at this point, but yeah, you just put a little bit on the tips, and once they are installed, I will show you. You add a little bit more to the exterior of the pad. Again, that protects against sound, that annoying squeaking noise that none of us like. So here we have it, guys. Both brake pads are in, the front and the rear. Now we're going to be reinstalling the brake caliper itself. And at this point, you have completed a brake pad job on your 2000 Ford F-350. Thank you for watching.